You're listening to Film Seizure. This is Geoff.
And this is Jason, and you can catch us on Wednesdays weekly talking about some sort of movie.
Yeah, you can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Just search for Film Seizure. And as Jason said, check us out each week.
Yes, your Wednesdays should be less crappy because of us, we hope. Maybe. Or more crappy.
Or more crappy.
Who knows?
Either which way.
Wednesdays are always a crapshoot. Why not give us a try?
Exactly. Can't say it any better than that.
Now,
These represent missing people for the last 3 years.
the only way to make it stop
I followed them into the subway. He butchers them like cattle. They never find the remains because he unloads the meat somewhere.
is to go for the ride.
I got a train to catch.
All right. Well, welcome back to Film Seizure. This is Geoff Arbuckle.
This is Jason Oliver.
And we have another Barker. This
Yes.
is Barker Month.
Barker Month.
Barker
Another
May.
Barker coming at you.
And this is the Midnight Meat Train.
Guys,
This is not a good one.
in the immortal words of Billy Bob Thornton from Bad Santa, well, they all can't be fucking winners, kids.
This is bad.
Yeah.
The thing is that what makes it frustratingly bad is that there were several opportunities to make a turn towards being much more than what it ended up being.
Yeah.
Because I would say that we genuinely liked the first 30 minutes, 45 minutes of it.
Yeah, it was going in the right direction.
So-
at least it felt like it was.
Yeah, so this movie is stars Vinnie Jones and Bradley Cooper
Yep.
and Leslie Bibb.
Leslie Bibb.
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 I like her bibs.
Yeah, she is. Yeah,
Yeah.
and Brooke Shields is in this movie.
Yeah, Brooke Shields, and Brooke Shields is actually pretty solid in this. Honestly,
is.
everyone
She
is
is.
solid in this. Everyone's performances are fine.
Yeah,
The actors are all perfectly fine in this.
and the characters again
are all perfectly fine.
yes.
Yeah.
So what we have here is so you got a movie where Bradley Cooper plays a photographer, kind of a somebody who wants to become an artist from, in the sense of photography. He wants to become like I don't know what. I mean,
He wants to be like a gallery photographer.
yeah, and
Yeah.
he likes to photograph downtrodden things or things that are uncomfortable. Like he has a picture that he shows Brooke Shields, who's like a gallery owner or something.
Yeah.
He shows her a picture of the like this bum, this hobo, like falling asleep and leaning towards an upper class person on the subway, and the upper class person is reacting to it. But as she put it, he captures the wrong moment.
Yeah.
So he's missing that little something that truly captures the horror of the moment he's trying to catch. And while so so once he does that, he kind of starts becoming a creature of the night. And he's trying to capture these moments like on the subway and on the streets. And in a way, we kind of wondered, was this kind of going towards a night crawler?
Nightcrawler. It honestly, like, this is where the movie kind of just gets stupid. Yeah, because he's sort of trying to find, like, he's trying to take pictures of like the worst of humanity at 3 a.m. or something like that,
Yeah,
on the streets of New York and on the subways of New York, and it feels a little like disingenuous. It feels a little just like,
Well, it's the reason why people sometimes think that artists are fuckholes.
yeah,
Because he is capturing, like, at one moment he takes pictures of a girl who's about to get beaten and raped by a gang of guys, and he takes their picture not to persuade them to not do what they're doing,
Right.
but to capture his art.
Right.
And that's
yeah.
kind of a fuckhole move.
And then they see him, and then they get like, "Ooh, what the fuck's up with you?" And then he basically points at the camera up in the ceiling, which wasn't persuading them to not rape this woman, but now all of a sudden it's going to persuade
realize
them not to like
do
murder
anything
him.
more. Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. It's
a tough.
It's all real flimsy.
Right, but he's got this girlfriend. She's really super supportive of what he does, which is interesting because it's like you would think that she probably should not want him spending more time taking pictures of a girl who's about to be beaten and raped and actually help them, as opposed to capturing art. Yeah, I mean,
She is at a certain point in time though. She's like, I don't like what you're this. I don't care.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that because
I don't know when we get to that because just this whole thing is just sort of
right
the same movie, the whole movie.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So
there's
what
no arc?
Well, no, there isn't. Well, there is, but not the one that anybody wants. So what happens is that he takes a picture of the girl. Who's a very pretty girl who's a model, as it turns out. The girl who was about to get raped and beaten in the subway. And she gets on a train, and you see that she gets killed, like brained, right in the train.
Yeah.
And by the Vinnie Jones character. And he figures out that, he was the last person to technically see her alive as far as the police is concerned. He took a picture of her entering the subway train, which she almost missed because she was thankful to him that ultimately he did get the rapist away from her.
Only so that she could get killed
on the train. Yeah. But so she looks back, and because she looks back kind of thankfully at him, she almost misses the door, and Vinnie Jones holds the door for her, and he's got a ring on, which Bradley Cooper ultimately figures out. It's like, okay, this guy has something to do with her disappearance.
Right.
He tries to tell the police this, and the police is like, oddly, I don't know. I mean, they seem to be oddly thankful for his.
You have to buy a lot of really bullshit to enjoy this movie. You have to buy that there is this mass murder, basically. Like a mass murderer who kills a dozen people every night on the New York City subways, and nobody bats an eye.
Nobody looks.
Like nobody's investigating it. Nobody's looking for these people. Like that's a huge leap.
It is. It's very problematic during the course of this movie because
I'm going to tell you, I did not like it.
No, I didn't.
Not like this movie.
No, I didn't either. But no,
I just
I mean, there were. No, guys, we didn't like this movie. No, so Bradley Cooper now just basically starts to follow Vinnie Jones around.
Yeah.
And Vinnie Jones works in a butcher's warehouse, whatever they call that. What do they call that?
Like a butchery.
Not a meat market. I mean, a butchery. Yeah.
A butchery.
Yeah. So sure, we'll go with that. It's where Rocky Balboa worked.
Sure. Yeah. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Except for he's cutting up stuff, not punching stuff.
Yeah, and Rocky Balboa is awesome.
Right.
He's awesome.
He is. I mean,
he would never murder somebody on a fucking subway.
All 7 movies that feature Rocky Balboa were better than this one.
Yes, that's true. Even Rocky 5, people.
Yes.
Watch Rocky 5 before you watch Midnight Meat Train.
So, what? Now, there are some interesting... so, what we do end up finding out, and we'll get to what I found kind of interesting about this movie, and I know you're rubbing your temple, you're flustered.
I'm flustered.
But at the same time, you also found this stuff interesting, so I'm not gonna.
Fair. Yes, there is an element there. Yeah, like there is. If you want to really get into it on the Barker lore, there's something there.
Yeah, it's
and
much
we'll
like
talk about
Rawhead
that
Rex
for sure. Yep.
But this is not as good as Rawhead Rex.
No, it's not. It's really not.
So so what we end up finding out is that there is this group of monsters that live underground.
Yeah.
That these people, the ring that Vinnie Jones wears is a symbol of like the secret society that basically keeps these monsters in check. keeps them separate from society.
Yep.
However, no, no, never mind. I'm gonna get to that in a minute. So we'll get to this. Oh, God damn it! Fuck. Anyway,
Yeah. So all right. Let's talk about that. Let's break that down for just 1 second. Again, like I actually like the concept of that, of like there's this separation that needs to happen between this world and our world, right? The problem with it is that there are dozens of people murdered every night on the fucking subway.
right, and even in New York, dozens of people murdered
That will
on the
not
subway.
go unnoticed.
Right.
It's so ludicrous.
Yes.
It makes me sick.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, now I will say, let's say one thing. Let's give Clive Barker some due here. He has nothing to do with this movie other than
The short story.
the short story that this is based on.
Yeah, fair.
So, Clive, it's not on you, man. This should not have been. You know what this would have been good as? An episode of Masters of Horror.
Yeah, it would have.
Half the length. We'll get to what the
He did
what
one of
the
those,
short
didn't
story.
he, Clive?
I think so.
I think so.
he did. Anybody who was somebody did something. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, Argento, Carpenter, they all did something.
Yeah.
So, well,
Where are we at with this? Because
yeah.
it's-
So, I mean, here. Okay. So, what ends up happening is that Bradley Cooper tries to figure out what the deal is with Vinnie Jones, and it kind of drives him mad.
yeah.
And Leslie Bibb, his girlfriend, is now like, I don't like what's going on here, because one night he comes in from taking pictures late, and
She sees.
she works
some
at
of them
the-
too, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
she's unnerved by them.
Yeah.
And, you know, she's working at this diner, and he comes in the middle of the night, kind of surprises her, you know, and it's like, he gives her like a promise ring so they can be engaged because he can't afford any of his own.
It's all really silly.
Yeah.
They're like 35 years old.
Yeah.
It's like, Christ, get your fucking lives together.
Yeah, and so because he makes nothing as an artist, and she's a waitress,
Yeah.
and they live in New York.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Well, yeah. It's like, how are they not living on the streets?
Yeah, on the
Honestly.
subways.
Yeah,
but-
on the subways. Yeah.
In fact, they might be better off dead.
I mean, yeah, we're already in ludicrous zone.
Yeah.
Because that's goofy as all
You could
hell.
live this way in Indianapolis. You can't live that way in New York City.
No fucking way.
But anyway, so he, he comes in and he surprises her, and like, he proposes to her, and he starts eating her butt.
Yeah, he does actually.
He's like, he just bends
he
her over
He gets
on the
right down and like
Yeah.
eats her butt out. It's kind of hot, actually. It's one of
Well,
the better moments in the movie.
Then he like starts plowing her from behind, and she
Yeah.
doesn't like it. Like something's
Yeah.
off with him.
Yeah. She doesn't like how rough he is with her, and
I
the fact
question
that
if
his
it
penis
was-
is in her butt. I think
That's what I was wondering if
Yeah.
it was. But she should have some agency
So-
to say, no, I don't want that in my butt.
she should, but she doesn't, and she does look uncomfortable. And I think this is where we have a little bit of that Barker, like, uncomfortable sexuality. Like, I feel like I don't know if this is what Barker would put his rubber stamp on, but it seems like every Barker
but
movie,
he'd put that rubber stamp right in their
regardless,
butt.
it's got a little bit of this element
Yes,
of
there's-
like uncomfortable sexuality.
Well, not just uncomfortable. It's not maybe uncomfortable to all of the characters, but it's uncomfortable for the viewer. It makes you.
It's
It
for someone.
makes you
Well, it was
watch
seriously-
uncomfortable
It was
sex.
uncomfortable for that character, I think,
Yeah.
because he had been sort of overcome by this, I don't know, this darkness, right?
Yeah, right.
And
He had started living a darker
and he
life.
brought that home, and he
ate her butt.
and it translated into some kinkier sex than she was used to, and she wasn't
Although
really.
I think she liked her. I think she liked her butt being eaten.
Well, yeah, but she didn't.
But she didn't like what came
like
after it.
what came after it.
Right.
Yeah.
So he.
Big size.
Yeah, big size.
Big size. Ugh.
So he finds out that there's a secret society that is doing, and like she also individually figures that out as well. It ends up leading to them both trying to confront the Vinnie Jones character to end his menace.
You're right.
Um,
Yeah, they both kind of come at it from different angles.
Right. Like she comes at it from the cops are also in on this.
Yeah.
And he comes at it from holy shit, a monster put some sort of symbol on my fucking chest.
Right, which is bizarre.
It was a
as
bizarre scene.
Fuck. But that's a little bit Barker-esque.
Right.
Like
it was a pumpkin head type of monster.
Yeah, it's kind of like Barker he's like all about marking people. Like you're marked. You're sort of
be it by soul or by
by
physical.
You've been pissed on by Rawhead Rex. You've been marked like Boone is marked in Cabal. I mean, it's like Barker definitely has some sort of
there's symbolism,
symbolism that he likes in that kind of stuff. So that I have no doubt was ripped directly from the short story.
Yeah.
But man, it's just
so
you don't get a good sense of who and what these people are.
Right. And so what ends up happening is that because he's now marked, he and Vinnie Jones have to fight each other like it's, I don't know, Superman versus Batman. Like seriously, that's how it's it's like portrayed.
I'm gonna go at it again. It's like good Coop versus bad Coop. It's like Twin Peaks season 3. Like only one can survive. Like they're both the same person now, but only one can live in this world.
Right, and whoever lives will continue to do the job that's being done on the midnight meat train.
That's exactly right.
And probably comes as no surprise, Bradley Cooper.
Coops. Yeah, right.
Coops wins.
Right, so Coops wins. Yeah.
Yeah.
So another Coops.
Yeah.
So Bradley Cooper wins, of course, because I mean, I guess like that has to be the stinger.
Yeah.
At the end of the movie is now Bradley Cooper is the one with the big mallet that's got to kill people on the train, which is it's just a fucking stupid bullshit.
Yeah. Now here's what's interesting. So the movie has this element of this photographer who gets drug into this darker world by trying to find dark art that is not the dark arts, but dark art.
Dork arts.
Dork arts.
Dork arts.
But they find this. He uncovers this society, and is kind of So the that's not so the short story. I just looked it up before we recorded.
Oh, what do you got?
Okay, the short story begins with a factory worker named Leon, which is what Bradley Cooper's name is.
Okay.
He wakes up in an abandoned subway station.
Okay.
He comes into contact with Mahogany, Vinnie Jones's character.
Okay.
Mahogany explains
Which
to
is
him.
a great name for a character.
It is kind of
like
yeah.
That's a really good character name.
It worked for Diana Ross. I have said that earlier, but that's
I really like it. Yeah.
It's so then, Vinnie Jones tells him what he is, what he does.
So he's almost like talking to him. So he didn't have his tongue ripped out. For
No.
one thing.
They fight.
Why do they fight?
Because they're supposed to. It's part of why he was brought there.
So Bradley Cooper's already marked.
Yeah.
Oh.
Or at least in some way singled out by the start of the story.
Okay.
And then
I like that.
Then Bradley Cooper, or the Leon character, kills Mahogany.
Yeah.
The subway conductor says, "You're the one now who takes over.
Yeah.
You're the one." And then he becomes the murderer.
Right.
He becomes the mass murderer. So the whole short story takes a piece from the middle of the movie and the last scene.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
They built bullshit around the rest of the 115 minutes. Or 100, no, it was 100 minutes, hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
To fill out this movie that
That's
ultimately is a bunch of nothing.
That's rough.
The short story explains to you in exposition dialogue what the purpose of everything is.
Yeah.
In this movie, there is no real exposition, and it suffers for it because we're trying to figure out why this guy kills people, why there's newspaper clippings from the 1900s, like early 1900s and late 1800s.
That's interesting. Like, all right, that is the bare bones of the story. Like, that is the story, and that what
That
they
there's a
actually-
society.
and that what they actually fleshed out was garbage.
You're right.
Like
It's just-
and why don't you flesh out the really interesting stuff, like the secret?
Tell us more about the
stuff.
secret society stuff.
Yeah, like are
Yeah.
you kidding me?
Well, what's interesting
That's
is
really depressing.
what I would have wanted would have been, if you're going to flesh out the secret society and these other characters, you added the two characters of Leon's friend and his girlfriend,
Yeah,
who play parts in this movie. Or like the friend is an artist friend,
yeah,
and you added those characters. Why not make them part of the secret society?
right. Yeah,
Then you could see them being up to shit.
yeah,
And her prepping him
right.
to be
They're
the
grooming
next.
him.
They're grooming him.
Yeah, that's where you get into like a little bit of Cronenberg, like the
Yeah.
like grooming of the secret society, like the Brood or something.
Yeah.
You know, like yeah, I don't know. I don't. That's
Yeah. Now I will say though that even though the stuff that's fleshed out that we just said was a problem, there are some interesting character things in it. Like the idea that this guy is uncovering a darker world
Yeah.
is somewhat interesting.
Sure.
Being obsessed with it even
yeah.
is kind
Being
of interesting.
Changed by it.
Being changed by it.
Yeah.
So it's I mean it's the stuff that they fleshed out is unimportant,
Yeah.
kind of silly ultimately, and
Yeah.
it's like,
It
but at
was
the
really
same
silly.
time, there were things about the characters that were full and rich and could have been, if tweaked a little bit. If you're gonna add stuff about the characters, one simple change would have been to make somebody close to him already
Yeah.
part of that society.
Vinny Jones, in my opinion, in this movie was absolutely wasted. He was
Oh, there was that one good scene though with him in the meat.
well yeah
Locker.
but he was there to look imposing.
Yeah.
He never spoke because his tongue was ripped out.
Well, he did have one line, or he had two lines. He had the line when he first sees Bradley
Yeah.
Cooper, and I can't remember exactly what he said. And then he said at the very end when he was about to be killed by Bradley Cooper, "Welcome, welcome"
yeah.
is what he says.
Yeah, it's like I don't know, like
Also, why would there's no reason for Bradley Cooper to still
the welcome
do
line
the
is
job?
Pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah, but when he was then, so when he became the next Vinnie Jones,
Why?
there's no reason for him to do that.
Right.
In
I'd just blow
fact,
my
there's
brains
actually
out.
every reason not to do that.
I would take my fucking like massive silver meat cleaver and I would
Maxwell Silverhammer.
I don't yeah and I would bash in the conductor's brain. Like I mean,
Run.
why? Why
Just
does
run
he,
away.
Why does he feel like he has to take over?
Well,
It makes
the
no
thing
sense.
is he has every reason not to take over
Right.
because they kill his girlfriend right in front of him.
yeah. I mean, yeah.
So fuck you, everybody. I'm
he
out.
He should be on like a mission of vengeance at that point.
Yeah, not just
Not a mission of compliance.
right. It's almost like you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of this is gonna sound fucking stupid, but it reminds me of the Anakin Skywalker switch. It's a switch of, well, I guess I have nothing else I can do. I just killed a guy.
Yeah.
I have to do what
So
you tell
I
me to
must do this. Yeah, it makes no
there's
sense.
there's no reason for him
No.
to do that.
No,
there's no reason for
and
that
no,
switch.
And no real human being would just jump to that.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I mean he should be fucking pissed that his hot ass girlfriend, he can no
Yeah.
longer eat her butt.
Yeah, he can no longer eat her butt.
No.
Right.
It's sad.
Right. It is sad because she has a
She has nice. She has tasty butt.
butt.
Tasty
Yes,
butt.
Tasty butt.
So and it was so.
So yeah, it's like a movie of size because honestly, it actually has kind of like a bit of a creepy tone about it.
Well, there's a scene in particular when he follows Vinnie Jones to the meat factory.
Yeah.
The meat factory. I
Meat
don't know what's called.
factory. Whatever
meat
it is,
factory.
the butchery.
The butchery, and he's taking pictures of him, and Vinnie Jones is like he's he notices that he's being watched, and the next time you see Vinnie Jones, he's like closer. And it's like, that shit is fucking cool. And then they run into the meat locker,
Yeah.
and he's got to try to hide in between the meat, and he figures out that Vinnie Jones is going to look under the meat to see his feet, and so he has to pull himself up.
Yeah.
But Vinnie Jones
Yeah.
has already figured that
Yeah,
out.
pretty creepy.
Yeah, it's like all of that stuff is fantastic.
great.
And the two of them as opposing things
forces, yeah.
is interesting.
Uh-huh.
And Bradley Cooper is perfectly fine in this movie.
Oh yeah, everyone is fine with it.
Yeah, and
everyone does their job very well in this movie.
Like you can see why Bradley. I mean, this was 2008. It's a little bit before Bradley Cooper's
it's
major
right, It's
ascension.
right before he kind of blew up. Yeah,
But you can understand why he did. You can understand why they hired
It was probably
Vinny.
a good script.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the script in itself is probably. I mean, if you read it on paper, it seems fine.
Yeah.
The problem is the execution falls apart.
And the motivations fall apart. Like, you don't really understand ultimately why people make the decisions that they make, and
only that they have to.
Yeah, and they
it's
don't.
Like, what's
have
my
to.
motivation so that you can get to the next scene?
And I just don't. and I just don't buy the whole premise of this like mass murder that takes place every night.
I
just don't buy that premise.
That's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it really is, and it's. I mean, I don't know. This is a hard pill to swallow because there's so many, like I said, there's so many flashes of something being good.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be great. It just needed to be good. It didn't have to be Candyman. It didn't have to be.
Well, let's talk about like just the Barker angle. Let's throw the whole movie out the window. Let's talk about what about this movie like kind of feeds the Barker universe, right? And I think that at its core there's something interesting. There is this secret society that has these monsters that they must satiate
to keep them separate
from reality.
Which is interesting because that society is actually doing good.
Right. And honestly, like that to me, imagine if like Rawhead Rex were one of these monsters.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that kind of was where my mind went. I was like, okay, if I'm going to find something interesting in this, I'm going to connect this to the Barker verse, if you will, then I can imagine Rawhead Rex being one of these demons that the secret society is trying to like,
and you can't tell me that they wouldn't have been able to get the rights to a movie that had no rights in 2008.
Right.
You know.
So wouldn't that be a fascinating idea is to
have these ancient creatures.
Yeah. Why not? Why not throw Rawhead into that mix?
Yeah.
Like there's no reason not to.
Yeah, even if they just had a throwaway line of a creature like these appeared in Ireland 20 years ago.
Yeah, like it's a no-brainer, honestly, and it's a little disappointing that they don't make that connection.
We would have seriously shit our pants if that line was said in the movie. Seriously, shit would have been coming out of our asses.
It probably would have made the movie 100 million times better for us. But instead, we had to kind of make that connection ourselves. And which is
fanfic at this point.
Right. It is. But at the same time, I think that if you're going to talk about this movie in the context of Clive Barker's creative output, I don't think that it's a stretch.
No. I mean, there is some sort of... I mean, these aren't like Cenobites. These aren't like Candyman.
No,
these are proto
demonic beings.
Right. There's some sort of protoplasmic gooey monster things.
Yeah, there's some sort of like manifestation of I don't know what, but they are physicality, they're on Earth, they are not interdimensional. They exist in our plane, and they're bad news.
But here's another thing. Why wouldn't the society be the ones who would destroy them?
Yeah.
Instead, like, okay, didn't they think at first maybe we should destroy them?
Right.
I mean, so either protect humanity by taking bombs instead of people who ride the train
Well, again, that's why this movie's kind of fucking sucks, right?
Yeah.
Is because you don't get any of that. You don't get any of that. You don't get any of the nuance.
Right.
It's just you have to accept some bullshit
that
you haven't really bought into because you don't hear about it until late in the third act.
Right.
Which is horseshit.
Yeah. So there's nothing to cling to.
Nope.
Now, so I'm looking at the DVD cover here. Scott Weinberg from Cinematical. Never heard of that thing. If you've heard of it, let me know what it is. He quotes right here on the cover of the box. Easily the best Clive Barker adaptation since the first Hellraiser film.
Easily.
Easily. It's the first word in this poll quote. I just told you what the difference was. It was 20 minutes of screen time versus 100 minutes total movie that they had. So another 80 minutes of filler bullshit.
Right.
Fuck this movie.
Yeah.
And fuck your quote,
fuck your
Scott
poll
Weinberg. Weinberg, you fucking asshole.
Since
Coming for you.
Hellraiser?
Since Hellraiser.
I mean-
Since the first Hellraiser.
I mean, horseshit.
Yeah, we just saw one
Yeah.
earlier. Candyman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't
Lord of Illusions.
We're gonna watch the Lord of the Rings. I mean, fucking horseshit.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy right in his face.
Eat his butt.
No, I'm not gonna eat that guy's butt.
Well, no, I want one of the monsters.
That guy can eat my butt.
Yeah.
But seriously, fuck
Yeah,
that guy.
fuck that guy. Fuck this. I will say, sharp and brutal was the other poll quote. Brutal, I'll
guess.
give
It
it
was
that.
brutal.
And the characters are relatively.
It's a cruel movie.
Yeah, because these people are being sacrificed to these monsters. They didn't do anything wrong. In fact, they're actually well-off people who have actually succeeded in life, and they've been basically turned into food of the gods, really.
Yeah.
And which is
Yeah.
sharp. The characters are kind of interesting. I mean, like I'll give you that the characters are kind of sharply fleshed out. But no, fuck this Scott Weinberg guy.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't have much else to say about this movie.
Who's this girl? Who's the girl in the back? It's like just some zombie girl. It's like the bicycle girl from Walking Dead.
Yeah, it's really not. Whoa. So the special features on this disc: Clive Barker, the man behind the myth, Anatomy of a Murder Scene, Mahogany's Tale. What is all this horseshit? There is a Clive Barker audio commentary on this.
What?
Audio commentary with Clive Barker and the director. I have a feeling Clive Barker liked this adaptation.
Well, I mean, there's things to
And that
like.
really fucking bums me out.
Well, but no, again, there are things to like about them. Like, remember, we went half the movie thinking this might be better than you. You went okay. Before we put it in, I said I'm not going to like it. I read that poll quote from that fucking cinematic.
I was
turd.
hopeful. I was hopeful.
And I said, "This is horseshit."
We went into this. We was like, Geoff was like, I hope we argue on this one. Geoff was like, I'm gonna hate this movie and you're gonna like it and we're gonna argue. and
now you make it sound like we put on fake news here. Man.
But that was like the hope. I think.
Yeah,
I think we wanted to actually argue about this one. Because I did. I really thought that this would be a good one. I'd heard nothing but good stuff about it. And I'd heard that Clive liked it.
But here's the thing, though. It's like,
I
hadn't heard of it.
But it's like Stephen King. Like, half the fucking movies that are made off of his work, like, most of them are garbage. He liked The fucking Gunslinger. Like, are you shitting me?
Wait,
Steven?
seriously?
Yeah, he actually liked that. And and he should be slapped in the face for it. Sorry, Steven, but it's true.
Do you
The
think
Gunslinger sucked. It sucked.
Well, while we talk about that, let's talk. I want to ask you, like, an honest question. I want you to honestly, you know me pretty well. You know my sensibilities. You know what. Do you think, because I have not read those books, that I would like the Dark Tower movie?
No.
That I would be able to come at it a different way?
No.
No?
No, I think that
That means I need to see it.
I think that you need to see it because I think you'll fucking pan it really hard. I think you'll think it's pretty goddamn ridiculous. It is goddamn ridiculous. It is ludicrous. It is in no way, shape, or form the Dark Tower. I don't know how you could even call it the fucking Dark Tower, other than the fact that you have a character named Roland and a character named Jake. I mean, it is horseshit.
All right. Well,
and you've read at least the comic adaptations.
Yeah.
And those are really faithful. And those are really, really...
And they're fascinating.
I mean, honestly, if they are the next best thing to the novels, and they're not that far off from the novels, they're really, really well done.
Yeah, I like those. I didn't read the last couple, but I read most of them.
I don't know what the movie was. I don't know what the movie was. It was not the Gunslinger.
Yeah. So that actually That actually brings me to something that I really, really, really disliked about this movie. Because you kind of talk about like this ridiculousness of the gunslinger, and you can tell that there were stylistic options that were made or taken for the movie or whatever, like him throwing up the bullets and catching it in his that's ridiculous. I don't care if that shit happened in the book. That's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Okay. Glad we're on the same page there. Yeah. Even if it was in the book and it was something that he learned to do, that might be an interesting story. But it has no.
Wait, what are you talking about? Like who throwing up the bullets?
Doesn't he at some point throw up a bullet and catch it into the revolver?
Yeah, that's garbage.
Okay.
No, in the gunslinger books, like he's just a really awesome. Imagine like Billy the Kid, right? Imagine Billy the Kid, or Buffalo Bill Cody, just like a really awesome like gunsman.
Okay.
He's not supernatural.
Right.
He's not like fucking
he's not Action
loading
Man.
Bullets out of the fucking air.
Right.
Like he's just really, really, really fast.
Right. So he's not Action Man.
So like all that shit in the trailer where you see him like loading his gun by like throwing bullets in the air and like holding his gun up. Yeah, it's all horseshit. That's not in the novel. Those are the books.
Because he's not Action Man.
It's not a goddamn video game. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean it's.
Well, so that brings me to the next thing I was my main criticism about where this movie goes. Midnight Meat Train. The Midnight Meat Train. Yeah. Okay. So the end of the movie, or the big confrontation against Vinnie Jones, Leslie Bibb gets on the train, finds out which train he's going to be on, goes onto the train, is going to basically try to kill him by shooting a gun at him. She misses badly. He's like 10 feet away from her. But as she was trying to track him down, Bradley Cooper somehow was able to see her on the train as it screamed by, uses a hook to catch the train.
Oh my God.
And get onto the train.
That's
a meat
stupid.
hook.
Yeah.
So now we have devolved into Action Man movie.
Yeah.
And now Bradley Cooper is Action Man.
But let's talk. All right. So there's a whole lot of reasons why this movie sucks, right? But let's talk about some motif, right?
Okay.
Some Barker motif, the meat hook, right?
Yeah, the meat hook was there.
That is there, right? Like, what is it about the meat hook that Barker is so drawn towards? And was the meat hook in the short story, or was that added by the director because he?
Like Ted Raimi was added?
Yeah,
Ted Raimi, another.
Ted Raimi is in this movie.
Yeah.
So I always get curious about that. It's like, okay, so what was actually added to sort of be a homage to other Barker movies, not necessarily Barker's story,
Right.
like because the meat hook felt like a Candyman reference.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, between Candyman and Hellraiser, there's always some hooks, hooks that are
He likes the the hanging bodies.
Yeah. There's a lot of that in this.
Yeah, that's a motif for Barker for sure.
Yeah, and then what was the other thing that? There was something else that one of the markings.
The markings.
Yeah.
Like a Nightbreed. I mean, Boone is marked.
There was
there's very much like a Barker-esque thing where like if you have meaning in some sort of occult, you're marked and tattooed in some way.
Yeah. There's blood, a lot of blood. Somebody
Slipping
being
on
blood,
blood,
getting gutted.
The whole like almost sternum to throat kind of gutting. So
I mean, like all those things are.
It hits some of it. It checks a lot of Barker boxes.
However,
it just doesn't add up to
anything. And the biggest problem is also another box that it checks. That brings me to what I was about to say is now Bradley Cooper's in Action Man mode.
Yeah.
It checks off the 2008 box of the bad guy and the good guy being shown coming in from opposite angles or opposite directions or opposite sides of the screen.
Yeah.
and clashing. And then they start like sort of sword fighting. Like he's got like a big knife.
Yeah.
And Vinnie Jones has his meat tenderizer, and they're like sword fighting. Like straight up like this devolves into stupid action movie.
It does. It really
Badly.
does.
And
Yeah.
it's so many missed opportunities.
Well, I think you nailed it right on the head. I mean, the movie is based on a short story that if you read it out loud would take 20 minutes. And everything in the short story is there, but they expounded on the wrong elements. Like they created an hour of filler in all the wrong directions.
Right.
Right? And that's a bad script.
Yeah.
I mean, that's ultimately a bad script. And
I mean, because you can have good characters in bad scripts.
yeah.
And you can have bad characters in good scripts.
And the fact that I almost wanted to sit down and listen to the commentary, like Barker's commentary, and just kind of understand what he liked about this adaptation.
Because maybe it is the stuff that we like about the characters.
Right.
But the problem is that it's great to have those characters, but where you go from there?
Yeah.
You know, it's like if you have great characters, but can't use those characters to
and I think
place them into a plot, or you have a great plot that can't inform the characters, there's a problem.
And ultimately, I think what I can't get past is just the improbability of the story.
Yeah.
It doesn't ring with any sense of truth.
Well, and here's
like this could be a real thing. It just I don't buy it.
Yeah, I mean, because even with Rawhead Rex,
I buy it.
there is a certain sense of
Why wouldn't we just unearth a fucking monster one day and
from
like,
an ancient
sure,
religion?
Why the
Yeah.
fuck not?
Right.
Candyman.
There's so much realism
Yes.
in Candyman.
Oh, Candyman. Well, Candyman is fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, Lord of Illusions goes in a direction of mysticism and some demonology and some direction of that. And even like Hellraiser, again, dealing with demons, things that are interdimensional that we could not begin to understand.
I feel like the right angle into this story would have been a relative or a loved one of someone who had been murdered on the Midnight Meat Train. Somebody who had been like, why is the death of so and so not being investigated? Like somebody who's like penetrating this conspiracy. Like maybe there's a cover up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's a reason why these murders aren't getting solved, or these missing people aren't getting solved. It's like the Lost Boys, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like I feel like that would have been the right angle into it.
And why couldn't that have been like? You could have had all of the characters you had and practically the same exact story.
Yeah.
But with Leslie
much more
Bibb be
realistic
saying, "My
premise."
brother is gone."
Yeah,
like,
with
what's
a
going on?
much more
Yeah.
realistic premise. Yeah, I mean that I would have connected to that way easier than whatever this was. Yeah.
Yeah, this is. I mean, yeah, kiddies, this is a bad one. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's Warlock 2 bad.
No, fuck no.
But
I mean, Warlock
this is
2
bad.
is the worst movie we've watched together, I think.
Yeah.
Since we started this.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen.
This is in the top 3, though.
Yeah, I mean,
this is not good.
No, it's not. This isn't a fun movie to watch. And I could have accepted it not being fun.
It's frustrating.
If it wasn't frustrating.
Yeah.
Like, Candyman is not necessarily a fun movie to watch.
But it's fucking good.
But it's good.
Yeah.
So it eliminates the frustrating.
Right.
Rawhead Rex is a little bit frustrating, but it's fun.
Yeah.
So when you take the pieces that are not fun and frustrating, I mean,
you end up with something that's really difficult to watch, and I don't really recommend this movie to anyone.
No, I wouldn't either. I would say that
I don't know.
If
I
you
don't know
catch
who-
it on TV and you watch the first 45 minutes and then you have a bad case of the shits and you miss the other 45 minutes, you're better off.
Yeah.
You're better off just taking the hot shits.
Yeah,
And because you saw the first 45, you saw the best part of the movie. It does not get any better.
it doesn't.
It actually devolves.
It does.
It has about a 50-minute shelf life, you know, and then it starts to deteriorate poorly. I bet if you watch the trailer, you will get everything you could possibly want out of this movie.
Yeah, it's probably true.
So watch the 2-minute trailer, you know, and then just let it go at that. We didn't even fucking bother. We usually watch the trailer before or after a movie. We didn't even fucking bother.
Or
with this.
honestly, if you just want to watch it for like the Barker mythology sort of completionism, just watch the last 10 minutes. I mean that's really all there is to it. There is a Barker-esque fucking element to this movie.
Yeah, because it's in the last 20 minutes
But
when
it's
the
in the
when
last
the when the
10 minutes.
right. It's when the short story
Yeah.
bits are there.
Right. And you probably have already read the short story. So fuck it. You're not going to watch this movie. Fuck
You're not
this
going to get
movie.
anything better out
Fuck
of it.
this movie. If you like the short story, just
Eat
just
this
move
movie's
on.
butt.
Just eat this movie's butt. And on that note,
Yeah, let's wrap it up. This movie, I mean, this is a bummer, but I mean, you know, we initially were going to do this one next to last. We were going to watch Lord of Illusions first, and we kind of pulled a fast one on you. We kind of pulled a you know,
a butt-eating illusion.
Well, what I was going to say is, at the end, if you watch the end of The Spy Who Loved Me, initially it said James Bond would return in For Your Eyes Only. But what they didn't count on was that Star Wars was a massive hit.
Yeah.
And so they pulled a fast one and they put Moonraker first
Ha.
and then For Your Eyes Only. So we kind of did the same thing there.
Well,
God damn, I know a lot of useless
you
fucking
do.
horseshit.
You do. You know a lot of useless short shit. So basically, right now, what we've done is we've watched Rawhead Rex, Candyman, and now Midnight
Now
Meat
Midnight
Train.
Meat Train. And
This,
we've got
this is where our heads are at, and then we are going to watch Lord of Illusions and some version of Nightbreed to be determined. Probably Cabal Cut. Sorry, Geoff.
okay, that's fine.
And then
If it's interesting, I want it.
and then we're going to watch Hellraiser 1 and 2.
And we're saving that
And
that
saving those
episode
for a later treat.
And I'll go ahead and spoil the treat. I'll
All right.
go ahead and spoil it.
Spoil it.
So Clive Barker's birthday is in October. I figured, thinking ahead, you know, if we did some horror movies for Halloween or something that put us in the right mind for Halloween, or at least the first episode of October be a right-minded Halloween type of direction. And since his birthday's in early October, I figure we would save Hellraiser for that.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about both Hellraiser 1 and 2.
Yeah, we'll do them both in one episode, and that'll be a fun month to see.
Yeah.
Like what we release each week that month. But Hellraiser 1 and 2 will be.
We'll pretty much kick it off.
Well,
I think.
yes, exactly.
So there is a light at the end of the Midnight Meat Train tunnel,
Yeah.
which is 4 movies that we
4. Yeah.
4 movies that we care about,
That we like a lot.
and very, very, very interesting spots in Clive Barker's
Yes.
mythology.
Most definitely.
Because even though Lord of Illusions is not well remembered, I would say it is even more so Clive Barker than Candyman.
Yeah, and Geoff is a huge fan of that one, and that's not one I've seen in a long time.
I haven't seen it in a long time either, but
And-
I have very special things to say about that one.
And on the flip side of that is I have this just deep love for Nightbreed, and Geoff isn't so familiar with that one.
I don't think
So-
I've ever seen it. I think I always got that one confused. Seriously, and I'm sorry for that, but I think I always got it confused with Sleepwalkers.
Oh wow, that's weird. But yeah,
Well,
Okay.
monster people.
Monster
I mean,
people.
cat people and things like that, right?
So this will be really fun. I think. I mean, I was talking to Geoff earlier this morning before we started watching any Barker, and I was like, I know more about Nightbreed than any reasonable person should know. It's a stupid fucking thing that I just know a lot about this movie.
like I know more than any reasonable person does about the credits that James Bond will return
Yes.
in at the end
Right.
of Spy Who Loved
Right.
Me. Yeah.
So we won't be able to cover everything about everything, but we're gonna watch Nightbreed, and I'm really more interested in what Geoff thinks.
Yeah, that's going to be our that's going
And
to be
I
our
think
grand
that Geoff
finale.
will be real interested in what I think about Lord of Illusions.
Yes.
So
But we already know where we're going with Hellraiser 1 and 2.
and of course those are classics, and all of you listening, if you're listening at all,
You've
to,
seen
to
them.
what we have to say, you've seen and loved those movies. So
yeah, I mean, but there's still, I mean, I've seen worse movies than this. I've seen a lot worse
Midnight
movies
Meat
than
Train?
this. Yes.
Oh sure,
But I mean,
but don't waste your time.
this is frustrating.
Man. Don't
Yeah,
waste
it's
your time.
If you care at all about plot. I mean, because some people care more about like character study. You can almost
Yeah.
feel that they tried a character study here. Almost tried.
Maybe.
Because you saw a journey that the main character went on. The problem is that his arc wasn't that he solved a murder. His arc was that he became the murderer.
Yeah. Not only that, but
But it's not interesting in
his
between.
arc was a little flat too.
Yeah, it was. I
It
mean,
was.
He was kind of a self-absorbed artist to begin
Yeah.
with, and he ended as a self-absorbed.
You didn't really
mur-
care
murderer.
much about him at all. I don't know. I can't recommend this one. I just can't. I mean, watch it if you're curious. If you're a Barker completist, sure. But I don't care for it
Nah,
at all.
It's rough. It's a rough one.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Kill us.
See you next Wednesday. We've
Yeah.
got a better one for you on Wednesday. I promise.
Yeah, we'll yeah. I mean, it's gonna be Lord of Illusions this time. This time we mean it for real. We'll be Lord of Illusions. I didn't edit the last episode.
Oh shit! All right,
Yeah.
cool.
So, no,
I didn't realize you
pulling
actually like teased Lord of
Yes, we
Illusions.
did.
in the last
Yeah,
one.
we did. But
That
pulling
was-
that Spy Who Loved Me
that's my
business-
fault, everyone.
No, that's all right. No, I mean, I think you're right. I think it served better to watch the two that we have.
These are the
different,
ones we really, really love. Like
right, and
but
have
on our own.
on our own, and
Yeah.
saving that for a different recording session was better. And you were right on that.
So that's it.
That's
We're
it.
signing off.
Follow
signing
us
off on Midnight Meat Train.
Yeah, it's a that meat train has sailed.
Sailed.
So so next week it's Lord of Illusions, followed by the following week, which will be Nightbreed,
Of
and then
some version of Nightbreed.
yeah, some version of Nightbreed.
Yeah.
We do have a recommended movie coming up soon, that somebody that you know recommended to us. So that will be coming probably in June. But yeah, so I mean, upwards and onwards, we can move on from Midnight Meat Train. You can follow us at on Facebook and on Twitter.
All the
and-
film seizures.
Oh yeah, just look for Film Seizure.
Yeah, you'll find us.
You can also find it on the links page or one of the pages on filmseizure.com. One of the pages has all of those that you can go to. So it might just be easier
The
to go to
Facebooks,
FilmSeizure.com.
Twitters,
Yeah.
Instagrams, all of that.
Yeah, Tumblrs.
Jeff
we
likes to
still-
push the Tumblrs.
Yeah, because I'm waiting for somebody to ask us to turn it into a porn Tumblr. I mean, there were some naked dead boobies in this. There's been boobies in all these movies.
All of our movies should be on Tumblr. Anytime there's a
Dude,
movie,
we're not Mr. Skin.
No, but anytime there's we should. Maybe our Tumblr should be that. Maybe
Man,
not.
I don't know.
Maybe
I
not.
don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know what Tumblr is. I feel like I'm trying to be edgy.
Nah, we don't. No, no.
We don't want it.
We don't want that. We don't want that.
Okay.
Let's be classy. guys.
Yes.
But so anyway, so yeah, that yeah.
So yeah. So that's it. That's
That's
the
it. That's it.
that's the
flustered.
pin. That's the pin in Midnight Meat Train. Thanks so much for listening.
Yes.
I hope that you enjoyed listening to us talk about this movie that was probably longer than the movie itself. And
Well, it was longer than the good bits of this
and
movie.
honestly, I mean, I don't necessarily think that we're super interesting to listen to, but I really truly believe in this case it was a much more entertaining 2 hours than you would spend with the movie itself. So take that.
we haven't even recorded for 2 hours.
Whatever it is. I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm just imagining.
Well, again, I mean, we've talked longer than the actual good parts of the movie.
Yeah.
Are. So anyway, yeah. So
anyway.
let's just sign off. Come back next week. You've got, we've got something better. We've got things better to talk about.
Shit,
next
yeah,
week.
we do.
For all of us here at the Film Seizure, I am Geoff Arbuckle.
I'm Jason Oliver. You have been listening to Film Seizure.
See you next week.
What interests you?
The city. Because no one's ever captured it. Not the way it really is. That's my goal. That's my dream.
Then you're failing.